Amazingly, it's been almost 2 years since it was first announced that a Final Fantasy IX animated show was in the works. Where the heck has that time gone? However, at the time of publishing this video, there hasn't been any concrete news for months about the show, what stage it's at, or if it's even still being worked on at all. Which got me wondering if the project might have even been quietly cancelled. That is of course total speculation, but it does seem surprising that we haven't really seen or heard anything about it since it was confirmed by Cyber Group Studios in June 2021. As part of that announcement, Cyber Group Studios confirmed that they had entered into an exclusive option agreement with Square Enix to produce a Final Fantasy IX animation. The company also said that the FF9 show, which would be produced at its studios in France, would actually be primarily aimed at 8 to 13-year-old kids and family audiences. To be honest, I'm not sure whether to be surprised at this rating or not. Aiming the show towards a younger audience seems to suggest that certain themes or characterizations that are present in Final Fantasy IX itself wouldn't be included in the animation. However, when you look at the game's actual rating of PEGI 12, that does actually sit within the age range mentioned by Cyber Group Studios. The PEGI rating states that FF9 contains depictions of realistic-looking violence towards fantasy characters, depictions of non-realistic violence towards human characters and offensive language. So it would be interesting to see which of those aspects, if any, were reflected in the show itself. However, as far as concrete news which we know about the show goes, that's about it. And while Square Enix will of course have given permission for this production to go ahead in the first place, it seems like that's pretty much the extent of their involvement in the project. An article from June 2021 regarding the animated show said that Cyber Group will handle worldwide distribution, licensing and merchandise, which sounds pretty all-encompassing to me. It also adds to my feeling that such a project still seems entirely random. Final Fantasy IX is a fantastic game and one of my absolute favourites, but it's more than 20 years old. So what's the motivation for working on such a show now? There is of course the possibility that this could be part of a wider project centering around the heavily rumoured, but as of yet, entirely unconfirmed Final Fantasy IX remake, in which case that would clearly make more sense. Going back to that article, it also reported that the goal was to begin production by the end of 2021, or beginning of 2022. Given that we are more than a year beyond that time frame, if it was still going ahead, wouldn't we at least have had some update on its progress by now? Of course, it could just be the case that things are carrying on quietly behind the scenes, and that so far they've managed to avoid anything being leaked. It could even be the case that the FF9 animated show is finished and ready to go, but that Square Enix wants it to be released at the same time as Final Fantasy IX Remake as part of a major campaign. Another reason to believe that it hasn't been cancelled is that there was a single fleeting reference made to the project in a Cyber Group Studios press release earlier this year. In the release, which I'll link to in the comments, Cyber Group Studios mentions the international partnerships that they have developed, including their collaboration with Square Enix on the Final Fantasy IX series. The fact that the FF9 animation was referenced specifically and is still included in the announcement on their website hopefully means that their project is indeed still progressing, and that almost 2 years down the line since it was first revealed, we may well see something from it soon. Anyway, what are your hopes for the Final Fantasy IX animated show? Please do comment below with your thoughts. And if this is your first time on my channel, then please do also like and subscribe as well. Until next time, thanks for watching.